Hello ladies, welcome once again to Satyn's Empowering series, and we are pleased to have with us Mr. Preethi Jayawardena, who is the Deputy Chairman of Commercial Bank, a veteran banker who has extensive experience in Sri Lanka and the world. And he is going to share some very valuable insights with all of us on the role that women play in the boardroom, inclusion of women in senior positions in the corporate world, the SME sector, and how more women can be benefited through the empowerment of access to credit and training facilities. And so over to you, Mr. Jayawardena, for your insights on how women can be more empowered in several different ways.
Thank you, Naomi, for inviting me for this interview. Well, first of all, if you take our population, we know that around 53% of the population are women. Now you're talking about empowerment of women, that means to give more authority to women. But unfortunately, in Sri Lanka, it has not happened the way how we want. Now, if you look at the household, and when you compare what is today as what was earlier, say our parents' time, one could live with only one person's income. Now, my mother was a housewife, and my father was working, and they raised 3 children. It's quite comfortable. But today, things have not changed. Economically, consumption is the primary driver, the growth of any economy. To do that, people must have more disposable income. So that means both parties should be employed. Otherwise, it will be very, very difficult. Now, what has happened here? If you look at in the corporate world, or you said that is SMEs, why aren't women being able to come up to the top easily? I am focusing here especially on the executive roles. There is a marked difference between a woman in an executive role and in a non-executive role. But we have seen today, if you take most of the blue chips or the big companies, there are a lot of women in boards. But it's been very senior levels in age, right? Either they are in their late 40s or 50s, but not when they are relatively young. But they are all serving on non-executive capacity. But what is more important is to get more and more women, right, into executive capacity. Now, what is the problem? I see there are 2 problems. First problem is the maternity. And the second problem, as how I see, is the strong boys' clubs. Now, if you take a big company, a blue chip, or it could be a big limited liability company, right? Now, to get a lady into an executive top position relatively at a young age. Now I know I have served in so many limited company boards as well as private company boards, locally and even overseas. Say how the men think, right? If I just tell you, they will always think, okay, it is not the 3 months that a lady which goes to maternity. Once she comes back, if she's lucky, she'll be able to leave the child with the mother or the mother-in-law. If not, she had to leave the child in the daycare center. So if given the choice, she come willingly or grudgingly. Obviously, right? Not willingly. Now, even if she gets back to the work, physically she will be in office, but her mind will be elsewhere. Right? If you get a call, say the child is sick or whatever it is, drop all that, she will be there. Of course, it's a mother. You have to accept that. Then how the main thing is, it doesn't stop there. After some time, of course, the family will want to go for the second child and the third. So what happens is, if there is another person, a male there, obviously the males will, right, would like to give that position to the man, not to this lady. She could be so qualified. So then what happens? She gets frustrated, either she leaves the place or she will lose that promotion. So it's difficult for her to come up to the top. So that's one of the problems we are having. Now I have served in so many nominations committee, including in my own bank, to get a lady into the board. It was such a struggle. Right? It's a struggle. But now now we had a lady in the board and we know her contribution, how good the contribution is. So now, with that, we can even go to get another one. So that is why now I was serving in the Sri Lanka Institute of Directors as the chairman. I just relinquished my duty just about a month ago. We had very, very fruitful discussions with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The chairman, Mr. Ranil Vijay Singh, was very, very helpful. And we wanted to get more women into the limited company boards. We had extensive discussions and even some people from the Ministry of Finance attended. And finally we were able to get into the last year's budget proposal a progressive gender quotas. Right? That's a very good step towards that. Through a quota system. Of course, it is not the best way to get ladies into the board. Some say that they should come to their capabilities. I know they should be, but unfortunately, because of these strong boys clubs, right? If we don't get them in, then it will be very difficult to get them in through the normal system. But now if you see a couple of big banks or big blue chip companies, there are several ladies in the board. But they are all in the non-executive capacity. But what is more important is to get them in the executive capacity, not necessarily to the board level, but at least to senior management level. And big companies have subsidiaries. They can get them to the subsidiary board levels, executive capacity. That is what is important. Because today, Naomi, if you look at the women, they are equally or more qualified than men in several fields. Right? So they can have very good contribution. Without, when the population is more than 53% in women, and if we don't get their contribution, our growth will be stunted. So we need the women's contribution. More and more women need to be employed in top level positions in the country to spur the growth. So that is very, very important. So SLED had done a lot for the gender diversity. right? So we are talking about diverse boards, but not only the boards, that is a misconception. No, right? In senior capacity as executives, more and more women need to be there. But we see that mostly in family-owned businesses. Obviously, when your father is the chairman and you get all the daughters in, right? But do you see this happen in normal public limited companies? No. So that is something which we should definitely aim at. And the other thing is, Naomi, another important thing is, we are talking so much about this GDP per capita. Now we have gone beyond $4,000. It's no longer a poor country and all that, right? There again, if you look at the real situation, what we want is not to just up the GDP per capita, we should reduce the inequality. If we can get that GDP from say 70 to 80% of the population rather than just 20%, that is the best that could happen. Now, how can we do that? We can do that only by revamping our SME sector. Now, if you look at the SME sector, Naomi, most of these sectors are run by women as opposed to men. So, now what is the problem they are having? There are two problems they are having. One is they don't have access to cheap funds. The second thing is their houses are in disarray. Right? There are no proper books of accounts not audited, not rated, right? So naturally, when they go looking for the funds, the banks are absolutely very atrocious, right? They have to pay higher rates of interest. So unfortunately, this country doesn't have any development banks to support them, right? Not only that they need money for their working capital, they need money for their research and all that. So that is why none of these SMEs, or majority of them, won't move to the next level without funds and the expertise. So we need to give them from one side cheap funds, on the other side a training, how to run. So there again, if you do that, the SMEs can give a lot of employment for ladies. A very important thing that the government should focus upon. Now, SLID is doing that with IFC. We have been conducting workshops all around the country, remote places, right? And we have seen, because I know we have seen, majority are the women.